Welcome back to Girl and Cork. Today we are going to be popping bottles, quite literally, because I am going to teach you how to saber a bottle of champagne. Some people think popping a bottle of champagne with a saber looks intimidating or difficult, but it's really super easy. It's just a quick step-by-step process, which I am going to walk you through. So before we start, all you need is a bottle of champagne or sparkling wine made in the traditional method. I would avoid any Proseccos or Mousseux, Fizzantes, those won't work. So champagne, sparkling wine, and then you're either going to use a saber if you've got one, that's great. If you don't, you can use a big kitchen knife. Just use the backside of the kitchen knife, not the sharp edge. And so once you've acquired your bottle of champagne and your saber and or kitchen knife, you are good to go. So I will go ahead and walk you through each step I take to make sure I have a perfect sabrage every single time. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get our ice water prepared. Fill it up about halfway or so with ice and get your water running. I also like to add some salt to the water just to get the freezing temperature to drop a little bit faster. It just speeds up the process, and I have no patience, so it's perfect. Once it's filled up all the way, you can go ahead and put your bottle in. You're going to put it in neck down, so upside down essentially. And what we're looking for here is for the neck of the bottle to be fully submerged, but not the main part of the bottle, not the body. So the perfect amount of time to leave your bottle in the ice water is just about 20 minutes. That's what I've had the most success with. I've never had an issue with it. Once your 20 minutes has elapsed, you can go ahead and get the bottle out of the ice water. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and get the foil off of the bottle. Once you've got all the foil off, I personally like to take the cage off, but it is kind of a risky thing because if you take the cage off, there is the chance that the cork could just kind of pop out on its own accord. There's 6 atmospheres of pressure in these bottles, so the only thing really keeping that cork firmly in place is the cage. I highly recommend just putting your thumb on top of the cork and kind of holding the neck of the bottle, just keeping it firmly in place until you're ready to saber it. And this is the part where we find the seam of the bottle. The seam is basically this really, really thin but kind of pronounced line on the side of the bottle. And the seam is going to act as our guide during the sabering, because where the seam meets the lip up top, that's the bottle's weakest point, and that's what we're going to be aiming for during the sabrage. Now we've arrived at the fun part, sabering the bottle. Now before we even try to saber, first make sure to hold your bottle from around the side, like the way my hand is. You don't have to be death gripping it, but just make sure it's not going to slip out of your hands. The next thing we're going to do is locate the seam of the bottle once again. Make sure that it's facing up towards the sky. And once you've got that located, line your saber or your knife up along that seam. Before you attempt to actually saber the bottle, I recommend doing just a couple of slow slides up the glass, making sure that your saber is keeping contact with the glass at all times. And once you're feeling pretty confident, like you've got the motion down, go ahead and start at the bottom of the bottle, again, blade lined up with that seam, and in one quick false swipe, just slide it right up the side of the bottle until it hits that lip, follow through, and the rest should just pop right off. There should be a really satisfying noise. I hope everyone enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. I hope it was educational and that you learned a fun new party trick today. And again, I just want to mention, please don't ever do this inside or around a group of people. Make sure you're kind of out by yourself, outside somewhere. Just always use common sense and be careful when you're doing this. And until next time, cheers everyone!